I just want to make sure everyone can see my screen.
Yes, it's okay.
Okay, yeah, let me start. Hi, so I am Martin Pretorius. I'm a South African architect. I'm a designer. I'm an artist as well. And I have a design and architecture company called Workshop and Machine. And we are based in Cape Town. And what we basically do is we do architecture and design. And when it comes to design, we do any design. From furniture, we are busy developing textiles. We are working with other furniture companies in Europe currently. And whatever problem our clients have, we basically just come up and see if we can come up with ideas. But today we're going to focus on affordable housing and what I am currently busy with in the affordable housing range. Because last year I have won the San Francisco Affordable Housing Competition. And then since then, I have had a lot of requests from people in South Africa and through Africa to try and come up with a solution for the African market. So what I'm going to show you today is basically my process of where I'm moving towards. The project is not completed yet, but we are very close to it. And we will be building a sample unit probably closer to the end of the year, most probably beginning of next year. So the theme is simplicity meets resilience. Because as I started approaching the project, I really saw that in South Africa and in the African states around South Africa that I've worked in and traveled in quite a lot, I've seen that you can't really come up with a very, very intricate solution for the problems here. The solution needs to be extremely simple, but it also needs to be very resilient. So I just want to take you through my thought process of where I'm coming from, just by analyzing the issues that we do have in South Africa currently. And I believe these issues are also applicable to a lot of other African countries. Although I just want to say for now, I'm focusing on South Africa because there might be other issues and other factors influencing housing, especially from mid to the upper areas in Africa as climate change and the way people live change a little bit. So if you look at this picture, you can see there's a structure in the urban planning. Although it's not I would say the ideal solution, but there is definite blocks set out in the picture that you can see. And as you can see, the development develops, and this is a very general problem in South Africa, where you start off with a development, and as the development grows, you can see the blocks get even bigger, and up to the stage where the next development is not even planned. That is literally just people creating their own pieces of land or claiming their pieces of land and building on top of it. And the problem is there's no urban layout, no structure that supports the development. So in times of floods, in times of fire, or any other medical emergency, it's really difficult to actually get in and assist the people. And this is also a picture that is not too far from where I live, where you can see on the one side you have planned developments, and literally across the road from you have unplanned, where people move in just because of the need of housing that there is. So on the right-hand side, where the planned is, you have built-in infrastructure, and on the left, there's absolutely no infrastructure. And the problem that I've seen is with the planned version of construction in South Africa itself, is it takes way too long. So we build with bricks and mortar, it's hard labor, there's tar roads, and a lot of the time it's actually tiled roofs, which is extremely hard labor. It takes a lot of time, but at least you end with a very, very hard and really resilient structure. So I just want to show you guys, this is how some of the informal developments start, where each person claims a piece of land and it's spaced out fairly well. And then in the next step, after that, you'll see it starts becoming more and more condensed, and it densifies up really quickly, up to a stage where there's only certain walkways between houses, and at some stages it's built from wall to wall, where there's absolutely no way of maneuvering between them. So I started my investigation by literally taking this and putting it on a diagram and just trying to get a diagram around it and get the what's currently happening on a piece of paper to see, like, how can we approach this and how can we move forward from this. So as you can see in this diagram, the dark lines show road access and the rest is just plot layouts or houses. And at some stages you can see there's 8 rows between road access, and there is actually cases in Cape Town where you have kilometers and kilometers of traveling between houses before you get to a road. So if there is an emergency or a fire or floods, it becomes a really, really big problem. This is the proposed layouts, which is quite common throughout South Africa. And it is also kind of pushed forward by government, but I'll look at this again a bit later in the slides. But one thing that's good about this is you have 2 plots that have access to the road. So if there's issues, if there's fire or emergency, you have access to the people living there. So for me, it's definitely, this is already moving forward from this, which is way too dense and people living next to each other. So what I do normally in my research is I take the pattern and I start playing with the pattern and see what's the simplified version of it. Like, where can I get to the simplest form of what the issue lies? And here again, you can see the planned on the left-hand side versus the unplanned on the right-hand side. And for a lot of people, they believe that this would be the perfect solution, where you have planned on both ends. But unfortunately, with this type of construction, it's almost impossible to even think that this is a possibility, because the construction takes too slow, and we need to get to a stage where we have planned living areas and really good living areas for the people in South Africa and Africa as well. But the construction that we're currently using is out of date, and it's unfortunately just way too slow. So you'll see this is just the pattern that I've took from the development and I simplified it even more to where you just have 6 units or 6 plots standing next to each other. So the next step for me was, how do I improve this? And how do I also improve this by also making it more dense? So I start playing around with it, because as you can see at this stage, there's almost a little bit of wasted space between the plots. So I try to remove the wasted space and convert the wasted space in space that can be used in areas where a person can either grow, garden, or you can park a car, or if he really needs to, can extend the house and enlarge the house if it is needed. So if you take the same pattern and you duplicate it, you start getting into a smaller, I would say, community setup. And this is just to show the greenery that can be placed inside of it. So we're already moving away from just houses and streets covering the surface of the earth to areas where there's actually breathable space between the units, where we can start planting stuff, or just trees or anything green, just to give it a better neighborhood feel. Because I believe people in general, they need access to nature. And although as our cities expand, we are consuming nature, we need to find ways to put that nature back into our cities. And what I've shown you previously with the pictures is there is absolutely no trees or anything existing in these informal settlements. So I believe just by introducing a bit of more green to it, we're already moving forward. Now, the next step of this is what makes it easier is you'll see the arrows point towards the center where the two flats or two blocks meet. And what this resembles is, as soon as you start creating a trench where you can catch water, or a gutter where you can catch water, you're already starting to look at houses collectively collecting rainwater. Because in Cape Town itself, we've had a really big drought a couple of years ago. Luckily, this year and last year, we've had a lot of rain, but as the nature moves, the drought cycle is going to return, and we have to plan for it. And this is an extremely simple way in which I thought how we can resolve it while adding on to the skeleton of this development. And the next is, in architecture in the 21st century is more than a building. So what that means is, like, the building needs to be more than shelter. So the blocks that is currently drawn in on the plots is solar panels, because electricity is definitely one of the core needs of a person in the 21st century. And then after that is most probably internet connection, because most of the people, especially post-COVID, they already started working from home, and basically all you need is food, water, shelter, which has always been a common need of the human. But now we also need electricity and internet connection. And if we look at providing affordable housing without electricity and internet connections, we're setting up the people that's living there for failure. We need to not just give them shelter, water, and food, we need to give them electricity and internet connection. But I believe that is luckily something that it's not just me promoting it, it is also being promoted right through Africa, and it's actually a very positive thing to see as a continent moving forward. So here, this is just a comparison between what is currently happening on the top picture and what I'm proposing at the bottom picture. And as you can see, the solution that I'm that I'm moving towards, it's not a complicated solution at all. This is achievable, and it is extremely simple. And the idea is so simple that I want people to actually copy it or even steal it and try to implement it wherever they can, because I truly believe that this can work. So when we look at the architecture itself, in moving away from the brick and mortar that I mentioned earlier, that takes extremely amount of time to build and construct and manpower, is I started looking at just creating a frame. So you'll see the frame it's clear that it is elevated off the ground. And the reason for that is to fight against flooding. Because right through Cape Town, especially, and South Africa, there's a lot of floods, and especially flash floods that happen in almost 7 of the 9 provinces. And just by elevating the building a little bit, it doesn't have to be a lot. It can be 500 millimeters. You're already improving the quality of life of people living there, and it's such a simple implementation. And the next is panels that is infilled into the structure itself. One of the nice things is I have identified a company that works in South Africa all the way to Egypt that manufactures these panels, and these panels are insulated and performs better than a double brick wall with a cavity. And it is strong enough to be a floor, and it can also become the walls of the building. And as you can see there, it's almost the same construction that's used for the floors goes into the walls, and it also becomes the ceiling. So here you sit with almost just a suggestion of a structure that can be used in order to replace the brick buildings that we currently have, and the structure is lifted off the ground, so you have no issues with flooding. It is better insulated than the brick buildings that is currently being built. And the best thing about these panels is it is impossible to basically start a fire with it. If you do start a fire with it, the fire won't spread. The only thing that will happen with these panels is they will melt, and they will basically, the only thing that will be left will be your steel structure, and the rest would melt away. But the process of melting this actually takes quite a lot of effort in order to melt. So in reality, what would happen is these panels would, before they would start melting, the fire would be put out either by the people living there or the community helping them. So if you have this the box where you can put your living in, the roof becomes quite simple. So the roof can be either double pitched, it can be mono pitched, it can almost be anything. The roof can almost be a complete separate installment. So if there's a need to cut further on the construction cost, you can play around with the roof and see what's the cheapest roof you can get. This is just a suggestion, but what I would suggest is it depends on the orientation of the bottom piece would influence the look of the roof. Only because you want to fit solar panels onto the roof, and the solar panels need to face, if you're in the southern hemisphere, north, and the northern hemisphere, south. So to look at the layout of what fits in this is, I haven't written it on the presentation itself, but this is a 64 square meter unit, and a double bedroom unit. And each bedroom is big enough so you can fit a queen size bed that you can walk around in. But what also helps is if you can fit a queen size bed in it where you can walk around the bed, you can also change the double bed into two single beds. So you can very easily fit 4 people in here. And then you have a lounge, you have a kitchen, you have a standard bathroom. You don't have a bath, but I believe a shower will do. And in the next one, it's a bit more dense, where you have 3 bedrooms. So the 3 bedrooms, you can accommodate 6 people. And if need be, and you replace bunk beds in it, you can add up to 8 people, I would say, in a 64 square meter unit. It's not going to be comfortable, but if you look at the way people are currently living, this is already a step forward and a much better solution than having 20 people living almost in a 25 square meter steel shack. And if you look at how this is implemented within the layout, you can see there's a front and back access to both roads. And each area lives out onto its own green space. So you start creating units that's really way more comfortable to live in, have in South Africa. But the plus is these units live out onto a green strip or a green area. And due to the crime in South Africa as well, the next suggestion would be for you to fence in or to block off your green area. But that is still, I would say, part of the further development, because as I stated earlier, this development is not 100% completed yet. This is part of the study, and the study is gonna go over into the first, I would say, just sample unit that we're gonna build. I'm gonna build it in conjunction with a client that also believes in the solution that I've done. And then from the sample that we've done, we're gonna take pictures and we're gonna actually start promoting it and see where this venture ends off. So if we go back to the first, let's say, diagram that I've identified, you'll see there's a really big move forward and really large progress made from this type of layout to this type of layout. And we've came to this conclusion by not really rewriting or trying to redesign the wheel. The solution to the problem that we found is not really that complex. And I believe the fact that we got to a solution that's not really complex is actually why I believe this can work. And I just want to come back to what I said is simplicity means resilience, because I believe this whole project and the approach that we take as Workshop and Machine in order to improve the housing in South Africa it comes down to the simplicity that meets the resilience in our way of analyzing and trying to restructure and or introduce a new way of layout and a new way of construction in the area. And I would like to just thank everyone that's here, everyone that's listening for the time. And also what I want to just state is, if there's anyone interested in becoming part of the project or knowing more of the project, you are absolutely welcome to do so. This is not a project that I would say is mine and only mine and my company alone. I actually want to get more people involved in this, and we can see how it goes. And if there's anyone that has other input in it, also you can feel free to put more input in it, because as I say, this is a study, and it is also a study that I want to move over into a practical implementation. And if anyone has any other input that they can put in order to improve the project, it will be really appreciated, and it's definitely welcome. So I'd like to thank you again. That is it from me.
Hi, Martin. Are you hearing me? Are you getting me?
I think the same as Lenka. I'm just struggling to hear when you speak, but I have seen that you've sent me a message that you will post questions.
Okay. Are there questions in the hall? I'll take them and send it to him.
Okay.
Des questions ou des commentaires, s'il vous plaît? Tu as des questions? Vois Belinga avec tes questions, elle va m'envoyer, je vais transférer. Si tu vas poser en anglais, tu peux aller directement sur le pupitre. Vas-y donc. Oui, oui, je vais traduire.
Bonjour tout le monde.
Allume le micro.
Allô, salut.
C'est bon.
Bonjour, Mathieu Bruni de Think Architecture. Je crois que je me suis présenté hier pour ceux qui n'étaient pas là. Déjà, je salue d'abord le travail de Lenka Petrikova, un architecte très, très prolifique encore. Et ça montre encore la qualité des interventions ici depuis le début de cet Archi-Talk. Je pense que personne ici ne perd son temps à être là. Je vais commencer par les remarques, des choses que j'ai comprises comme ça dès le départ. C'est d'abord le titre de son projet qui de façon singulière m'attire. Simplicity meets resilience. Donc, si je traduis de façon littérale, quand la simplicité rencontre la résilience, ou un truc comme ça, c'est-à-dire que la simplicité devient un facteur de résilience. Et on entend ici là par résilience dans la façon dont des personnes d'un peuple, etc., dont on fait face à un problème, une entité de gens. Et lui, il se rend compte que pour résoudre le problème du logement social, on peut penser aussi de façon simple. Et je crois que cette solution, en fait, vient être un gros point d'interrogation par rapport au contexte général des logements sociaux, déjà, en Afrique. Parce que là, il parle précisément du cas de l'Afrique du Sud, mais c'est une réflexion qui peut être, je vais dire quoi, miroitée, c'est-à-dire transposée dans tous les pays d'Afrique subsaharienne. Moi, j'apprécie beaucoup le fait qu'il ait privilégié les matériaux locaux, c'est-à-dire des matériaux qui sont localement trouvables. Et qu'il ait aussi privilégié l'industrie locale, parce que quand il parle de ces panneaux de bois, ce sont des panneaux de bois qui sont fabriqués directement en Afrique du Sud. Donc, directement au niveau du coût, forcément, on a quand même pas mal de réductions. Après, il nous parle de logements modulables, c'est-à-dire qu'une seule unité de 54 mètres carrés peut prendre jusqu'à 3 chambres. C'est quelque chose d'extraordinaire. Honnêtement, je ne m'y attendais pas. Ça peut être une unité d'une seule personne, 2 personnes, toute une famille peut habiter seulement dans 54 mètres carrés, sachant que le prix du logement au mètre carré au Cameroun aujourd'hui, c'est déjà quelque chose qui nous dépasse tous, quoi. Je ne suis pas sûr qu'aujourd'hui, à mon âge, je peux avoir un terrain. Ce n'est même pas envisageable pour moi, quoi. Malgré que je sois un architecte et tout. Voilà. Et ce que j'apprécie aussi vraiment de façon singulière, c'est son interprétation en fait de la simplicité. Hier, le docteur Olivier Moudjo nous parlait ici d'interprétation et de réinterprétation. C'est qu'il fait son travail, son analyse est très simple. Il part de ce que tout le monde connaît, c'est-à-dire que le lotissement général, en plan damier, qu'on connaît tous, qui est le plus populaire, le plus simple à faire. Mais il se rend compte que en le réinterprétant de façon la plus naturelle possible, on peut avoir quelque chose de vraiment extraordinaire. Et ici encore, la nature vient jouer alors le rôle comment je vais dire, de connecteur logique entre les personnes, d'être le poumon, d'être dans ce point virgule-là qui vient donc créer donc l'extraordinaire au milieu de quelque chose qui est ordinaire. Si on prend ces logements, c'est-à-dire ces modules de façon aléatoire, comme ça, on n'a rien d'intéressant. Mais juste parce qu'on vient mettre dans la nature, c'est-à-dire ce qui est là, lorsqu'il n'y a plus rien. Parce que entre toi et moi, il y a la nature, il y a l'air, il y a tout ça. Et cette pointe de verre dont on vient de donner dans ce petit, ce wow, dans cet extra, par rapport à ce qui est extraordinaire, donc j'attire vraiment je tire vraiment mon coup de chapeau à Alenka Petrinkova. Pardon? Ah, ce matin, hein, Petrus. D'accord. Heureusement qu'on va traduire après. Donc, je finis mon propos en rappelant en fait que je crois qu'à la fin, tellement d'humilité, il dit encore que si tout le monde, tous ceux qui sont intéressés par son approche, par sa façon de voir les choses, peuvent participer. Et je pense que c'est ce genre de réflexion en fait qu'il nous faut pour résoudre, pour apporter en fait des pistes de solutions par rapport à la résilience en fait du logement social au Cameroun. Parce qu'on est d'accord que ce qui est aujourd'hui ne marche pas et il faut repartir sur de nouvelles bases, partir sur de nouveaux paradigmes, sur une nouvelle cosmogonie, comme aime souvent bien dire le couple Chamban, et vraiment réfléchir autrement, penser différemment. Je vous remercie.
Well, thanks again. I'll translate in a nutshell what he was saying. I hope Martin is understanding clearly now.
Yes, I received the question, how you use simplicity to enhance the project.
I'll be sending further questions to you through WhatsApp for it to be easy, but I'll first start by translating what he was saying. So he's impressed by your work, and he's impressed by the approach, he's impressed by how you use simplicity to tackle such a complicated issue like housing. He stated that the use of space is quite innovative, and the lack of pride you take in presenting it also is a proof that architects can nowadays be more focused in community serving. And also he'll be happy and eager to contribute because you stated that you are open to contribution. So in a nutshell, he's amazed and great job. So
thank you. Thank you very much. It's nice to hear feedback like that, because then I feel like I'm moving into the right direction, because I know it's a very difficult topic to tackle, but I think by the feedback, it feels like I'm definitely moving in the correct direction, which is good feedback. Thank you very much.
Okay, many thanks. Please come forward and send him the questions directly, because he's getting us live now.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, next question. In simplicity meets resilience, what should we do, or how should we perceive the unicity of certain designs concerning the specific demands of some certain complex clients? Will we still multiply the same distribution just as a superposition in the urban design?
So I just want to ask if you can send me the questions just via WhatsApp. I just want to make sure that I understand the questions correctly, because as I couldn't hear like the middle bit of it that well. So I don't want to answer and give a completely wrong answer to the question. Okay, here's the first one. In the long run, ain't we scared of deforestation? Do we produce enough wood in South Africa? Definitely not. We do not produce enough wood in South Africa. If you look at the wood prices in South Africa, it is really, really high. And that is just because of the fact that we do not have enough wood. And that is also one of the issues that I have had when I designed this project, is I had to make use of steel and manufactured panels, but these manufactured panels actually has no wood in them, because as soon as I start introducing wood into the project, the cost of the entire project started skyrocketing. But if we do have if we do have more wood in South Africa, I believe like the prices would drop considerably. And I believe in South Africa there's so much space for introducing new forest or plantations, and I do not have the answer to why aren't we doing this, because for me, if we have space, we should definitely be utilizing it, but unfortunately we aren't utilizing it at this stage. So I just want to go back to the first question, because I see on the WhatsApp I have missed a question. So how long did it take you to think the conceptual part of the project? What I have shown you guys today is the accumulation of almost 10 months of work. But I will be lying if I say it's a full 10 months of work, because I also have clients and other projects that I'm busy with. So every time I have a bit of time open, I would like to push the project forward. And unfortunately, what I'm doing with this project is it doesn't bring in any income. So I try to carry with my business and try to run the business as smooth as I can. And when I have extra time, I like to put time into I would call it like passion projects, where this is within architecture. Trying to come up with a solution for housing is part of my passion. So that's kind of how my program functions. Because unfortunately, you still need to carry on or push the company forward and try to solve problems at the same time. So it becomes quite a juggle between like business and passion projects, and I do art as well, and then other design as well. But I think so far I'm managing quite all right. I just want to go to the next question, if that is fine. Simplicity meets resilience. What should do, or how should we perceive the unicity of certain designs concerning the specific demands of complex clients? Will we multiply the same distribution? So when it comes to, let's say, complex projects where you have different clients, this is going to, I would say, what I'm presenting today won't satisfy all clients. I don't believe this solution can just be copied and pasted throughout Africa. What I would try to do is try to create, say, like a guideline that people can work from, or if the idea is fully developed, would like people, say, across Africa to look at the idea and be honest with themselves and say, okay, what can we take from this design that implements in other African countries? Because one of the specific reasons why I mentioned South Africa and not any other country is before I put any other country's name onto this list of housing or as a possible solution for housing, I need to go travel the country more. I need to go do my research more, because I am quite reluctant to say this is the solution for Africa, because although there is some commonalities between African countries, there's also like extremely big differences if you look at, say, South Africa and Egypt, or South Africa and Morocco. So it's difficult to say the same solution can go and apply everywhere, but I would say as far as my research have gone, I believe this solution can work in South Africa, Namibia, Zimbabwe, and Mozambique, but I don't want to say that it can possibly resolve issues for other countries without doing the proper research, because my research started in Southern Africa, and I'm pretty sure it will move more up in Africa. And hopefully, if there's anyone in the mid or northern part of Africa that wants to collaborate with me on probably coming up with a solution for the area, I'm pretty sure Cedric can just give you my contact information, and then you can contact me, and then we can take it from there. Let's just go on to the next question. I hope I answered you in that one. Is this the only project you're working on? No. I'm working on quite a lot of projects at this stage. Not always related to architecture. I'm busy with art projects where I'm collecting pictures of people over Africa, and I'm drawing portraits of them, and I'm aiming to have a art exhibition where I just showcase these people that I've identified that actually have had quite a horrible time in the pandemic. And hopefully, if I can sell these pictures, I would cover my cost by framing it, and all the pens that I've bought, and all the profit I want to take and give it to the model that I've used, or the person that I've used for the art itself. Furniture, I'm trying to create nice looking furniture that's really cheap for the market, because what I've seen in architecture itself, for me personally, it's really easy to design a really beautiful house if I don't have a budget constraint. But as soon as a constraint comes in, life becomes a bit more difficult. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create architecture and art that's really, really good looking, that's good enough looking where I would say I would like to stay in it myself. And then making it as cheap as possible. So it's not just the rich and famous that have access to nice architecture, but I would like to bring good architecture and nice looking architecture, especially down to everyone in South Africa, and then making it broader. So that's my aim with all the extra projects that I'm taking on, is how can I have really good product that can be accessible to, let's say, 100% or 90% of South Africa, instead of, if you look at Cape Town, I would say there's less than 5% of the people living in Cape Town actually has access to really good architecture, because of it's just expensive. Can you work with local companies around Africa to share your experience of the concept? Yes, I am currently working with other companies. There's companies literally in this week that contacted me and said, hey, we've come across some of the stuff that you've done. Do you mind collaborating with us? And I'm always open to collaborate with anyone, because my personal motto for my company is that we are pro collaboration. And with pro collaboration means, like, if another architect phone me, I'm open to work with them. If a teacher phones me, I'm open to work with them. If a doctor phones me, I'm open to work with them. If a kid that's 5 years old phone me, I'm open to work with them. I really just want to learn more as an architect and as a person, and then take that knowledge and see how can I help or improve people that contact me, because I want to create a open door policy in a company where it's like, if you have an idea, come and let's see what we can do, and let's take it from there. Let's just go to the next one, so I don't. Okay, what about the financial aspect? What's the strategy put in place to facilitate population access to these houses, especially the average family with the average budget? So that's a really good question, because my approach for this project was firstly looking at the financial aspect of it. So I tried to, with the construction that I've used, and with the methods that I've used in constructing it, I tried to cut away as much as possible, just in order to bring the construction cost down. And at this stage, the cost for a 3-bedroom house would be around 350,000 Rand. I'm not sure if you can do you can definitely do the conversion, but I don't want to say in other currencies exactly what it is, but for South Africa, 350,000 Rand for a 3-bedroom house is really, really cheap. And I would like to take it even further by saying, can I make it even lower? So it's always going to be a challenge for me to see, can I do more research in finding other products that can replace the products that I currently have in order to lower the price? Because what I would like to do on a constant basis is see, can I lower the price in 2022 even more than I have lowered it in 2021. But unfortunately, you will get to a stage where you can't lower the price anymore, because I can lower the price with 100,000 Rand, but the problem is I'm going to cut on the quality of the house. And I am not prepared to cut on the quality of the house, because the aim is to give, or to come up with a solution and provide quality housing, and then see we may. Otherwise, you end up with a house that's going to fall apart. Insulation is not gonna be sufficient. So the number one for me is quality. Number two is then the finances, and you'll have to find the middle ground between the two. And here's just the next question. Can't you collaborate with Chorus here in Cameroon during workshop further to develop the idea? Yes, definitely. I am definitely open to do that. All I need is just the email and say where and when I need to be, and then I will be there. Are you open to work without financial support to help local government? I am currently doing a lot of this entire project that I am doing is completely free. I gain no financial gain out of it because I believe in, like, if I put in the work, the financial gain will come somewhere along the line. But I am definitely open to work with local governments because I am currently taking this project on without having any, I would say, any financial gain out of it. Yeah, that seems like it's the last question. I will. Yes. So if there's any other questions, you guys can also email me and I can come back to you. But I'll leave you with this: that if you are looking for someone to collaborate with, I'm definitely open towards it. Thank you.
All right, we appreciate it.